I've noticed that you've spoken at the World Kindness Day, haven't you, a couple of times? So what prompted that? Obviously everyone wants to be kind, but this is something that sort of goes right through, not just you as an individual, some of the stuff you're putting out on social media, but also worldwide financial planning as well. Why has it always been such a big thing for you?
The interesting thing is we talked earlier on about ESG, which is your vibe, and your vibe is your tribe. But when you send a message out to say this is what I'm about and this is who I'm about, it gets picked up. And interestingly, because of the stuff that we would have been putting out on our, I can talk about money all the time on my Twitter feed, but actually, it's a bit boring. But we mentioned kindness quite a bit. So the World Kindness Day asked me to speak, and actually I've spoke twice at World Kindness Day, and some people think that's a really fluffy word. It's not at all. And if you think of the emotional needs, the 9 emotional needs, attention, which is the need to give it and the need to receive it, it's a really, really, really important form of nutrition for any human being to be kind to somebody else. And if I think actually the most simplest piece of kindness that was shown to me, it could have been my auntie who used to call me cheeky face. And she formed a part of my personality. She kept calling me cheeky face, and she said, do you know what, no matter what happens to you, you'll always be okay. Now I walked into the rest of my life believing that to be true.
It's interesting you do. I'm the same. I've got examples from my past, and when someone says something, it'd be the quickest thing. It's almost like an inadvertent compliment. Those one-liners quite often stay with people forever. It's like fuel for people forever.
It is, and they become an answer whenever they get rocked later on.
Yes,
so we can talk about random act of kindness, or we can talk about deliberate acts of kindness. I believe it to be deliberate, and I was fortunate. I would say I was fortunate. I decided to be a runner when I was 10, so I was running a lot. I was training with a top guy who was 12, who's a friend of mine, but I was training with him, and when we just finished doing our diagonals and the sprints, he just said to me, he just took the time just to say, Peter, you're leaving that primary school next year. Make sure you get a good education. I didn't even know what the word education meant. I didn't, and he said, you make sure. So the following day, the 11 plus as it was back then. So I put my name down for that, got that 11 plus, and that education that I got from there meant everything to me.